Hey yo peeps, CoderSV3 here, and welcome to the second vlog episode. This is to talk about my first day on my new job, and why, despite being CoderSV3, I'm not working in the software development industry anymore or making as many coding videos as possible. So first, I'd like to talk about the long-term stuff, meaning why I rebranded from Xaminator to CoderSV3. Back in 2018, I was a computer science major because after a not so great art school experience during the summer, I thought that computer science was my way to go around things since I was pretty enthusiastic about coding and such, and that made sense at the time. And I was even like coding outside of class, but still gaming, performing, arts. In the background, I still love that very, very much. But I thought that computer science is not only a profitable degree, but also I feel like it was something I could master and get behind. And that leads me to an opinion, a bit of a controversial one. Just because you get good grades in school doesn't always necessarily mean that like you'll do good at the job. See, to get a good grade is, well, paying attention in class and doing the work and speaking to the professor or teacher matters a lot here. It also depends how much you're doing outside the classroom, which is why when you go for a college degree, you got to make sure this is something you can do from when you wake up in the morning until you go to sleep at night, if you even do go to sleep. You gotta make sure to dedicate your life to that. From the day you turn 18 until the day you're pronounced dead. That's a bit of a spicy take from a young person, but or who's hit unk status. I know I said I hit unk status in the last video, and I know I'm not 18 anymore. But it's not like I'm ancient. But what I mean to say is that like I thought computer science was the way because I just was doing good in the classes. But what I didn't commit to, especially after 2020 when I like started streaming on Twitch again before moving back to YouTube that same August, like around that time I kind of just stopped practicing coding on my own. I really stopped doing my personal projects. I still dabbled in a bit of leak code or hacker rank or whatever, but like the questions were too tough. I would try to rack my brain about it, but it wouldn't be like after class a daily thing like it was in my freshman and a bit of my sophomore year. And of course, that just kind of led to less studying the material and understanding it for what it's worth, and more so finessing classes. And that's hard for me to talk about because in my head, my anxiety is like, oh, you're admitting to like cheating or not taking it seriously or just, well, no, I never once like got the answers to a test. Like I didn't do that. Like I still tried to rack my brain, figure out what it was, but had I just not relied on study techniques or tips and tricks to pass the test, I would have actually, learned. Because the test just gets you a grade and just gets you the degree. Because study tricks and stuff only serves you for the test. It doesn't serve you for the actual job itself. I feel like I'm just spewing nonsense right now that's purely emotional, but it was kind of an emotional time when I realized that despite having a computer science degree, I wasn't really performing all that well at my job, and that's also why it explained the absence of coding videos. If it was homework for a professor or like open book exam, I'd do stellar. But in the back of my mind, I was like, what if it wasn't open book? Would I just get filtered? All the A students knew the answers before the professor even covered it. Goblin said, "Oh, those are the real computer science majors, Coder. You're just a fraud." And I'm not saying that if you're not a super genius, you don't know everything in your field. However, it would be quite salubrious for you if you are really passionate about it to actually study ahead of class and hell even ahead of semesters. I'm not saying you gotta spend 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., studying. You still got a life ahead of you. You got your hobbies, your sports, your favorite shows. Maybe you got a boyfriend or girlfriend or partner you want to hang out with, or a group of friends. So you got to make time to be yourself too. Peter Parker's got to be Spider Man. Spider Man's got to be Peter Parker. So, like, make sure you're letting yourself be you. And I guess I just didn't balance that well when I was at university. Meaning, I just kind of mulligan for the fun, enthusiast coding for the sake of other stuff. And as a result of that, when it actually came to using my coding knowledge for real world situations, I always fell flat. Either I try to be a hero, solo tank, solo DPS, overextend, whatever gaming term you want to use. That same principle I tried at my job. It became too late, so then I asked for help, and developers were like, well, you should have asked for help earlier. But then also, it was hard for me as a neurodiverse person to tell when asking for help too early versus asking for help too late. I never exactly hit that nuanced gray area that changed per user story. So, after nearly a couple of years, they spoke to me about my performance, how it wasn't keeping up, how they couldn't assign me user stories because I was trying to self teach myself other stuff. And that's another thing. I'm not really a fan of like Udemy, holy shit, Udemy or LinkedIn Learning unless I personally seek it out. And I honestly, I just feel like ass saying this because like part of me feels like I'm giving a bad example here, but I don't want to lie and say that I should have just put my head down and soldiered on because I felt miserable if I just soldiered on. Because as much as coding was an enthusiast thing for me, I could not for the life of me do it professionally, let alone work a 9 to 5. And that shame I was feeling while at said 9 to 5 was actually the reason why I didn't make coding videos good. Because I thought, especially with the earlier ones on the channel, I served kind of like a teacher role. So I thought, how the fuck can I teach if I don't even know this myself? And this, and I've been wanting to return to coding streams, or not, I didn't even do a coding stream. I've been planning on returning to coding content for quite some time now. But without the teacher vibe, I felt like y'all would just make, well, not, fuck. Yeah, I just thought I would be made fun of, and I know that's like rude to assume the worst of people watching my content. So I do apologize for that. I just felt what I mean to say is that I felt very insecure, and I felt like y'all deserved someone who had a more straight head on their shoulders if they were going to give you coding content. That being said, in late 2025, I confronted said feelings and decided at some point this year, maybe not January, but I don't want it to be like December and me not had done any coding content, but I'm gonna maybe try to return to do maybe a Leak Code stream or a Code War stream. I'm gonna be a fucking dumbass. I'm gonna make the most obvious mistakes. Some of y'all who do like coding content or coders yourself, who do it more professionally than I ever did, will be like, "Oh, brother, like what is this? I know this. Yeah, we know. Y'all are professionals. I clearly wasn't a professional when I thought I was. Now, I want to caution here. Let's not let's not validate feelings of imposter syndrome because I don't want y'all to give up on your dreams either or run at the first inconvenience. if you have a passion, you 100% should chase it. Just, you gotta ask yourself if it's something you really want, or it's something you've convinced yourself to want because it's something other people have pushed onto you. That's what I'm trying to say. I know this video ended up being much longer than I thought it was. I thought it'd be at like 4 or 5 minutes max, but I just wanted to talk about just why I want to keep the name CoderSV3, why I want to do more coding content, and why I'm not at a professional software dev job anymore. And I explain my whole feelings that I just kind of get bottled up for a while. Now, as for my new job, I'm actually, I forgot, did I mention I was working food service? Wait, well, I'm working food service now, right? It's not my forever job. Like, I won't even like put this on my resume. Reason being is because, well, I want to do content creation full time, and me going back to college for it, for communications and digital media, I believe that'll help me achieve said dream of being a YouTuber content creator. I mean, hell, we literally just hit 500 subs, so hooray! Like, definitely sub if you haven't yet. Aside from vlogs, I'm gonna maybe do some cooking videos since I'm working full time. I'm gonna try to maybe upload more shorts if I can. I can calm Soleil to do a few more. I'm losing my goddamn words here. We're definitely going to be streaming more Lost Judgment and other stuff, but okay, I'm getting sidetracked here. My point is, there's more to come on the channel this year in 2026, and maybe either end of this year or next year, maybe I get a live 2D. Holy shit, my Discord's blowing up. What is going on? Anyway, I wanted to talk about my first day as food service since I've never done it before. So, it was intense right off the bat. Some people were chill. Only really one person was getting on my case, but I could tell this person just wanted to be manager. Not naming names here, but like, I definitely felt the stress of food service. And that wasn't even one of the heavy days. It's like later in the week. And hell, this week I'm gonna be closing for the first time. So it's like, when you work food service, right? Like, I obviously know next to none to people who've been working it in for years as a line cook or sanitation or even managers, whatever. Like, I ain't been in that boat. I'm hopping on a boat that some people have been on for more than 10 years or maybe a few months into it. I'm not asking for advice here. I mean, I'm just trying to share my story that, like, you gotta roll with the punches. You know that move I did on Tesso and Extreme Heat Mode in Lost Judgment with Tiger Style? Yeah, roll with the punches. Like, that's what you gotta do. Roll with the punches, and you'll mess some stuff up. They'll ask, "Hey, coder, is that order ready? Like, give me an ETA in seconds." But what kept me going that day, despite me being on my feet for more than 5 hours, was obviously, jokes. You gotta make jokes, you gotta have humor. And some people will be like, take that shit seriously. You're an adult, not a kid. I could say that humor is ageless. If you think that making jokes or being happy is childish, it shouldn't be. Adults don't gotta be brooding people, drinking on the rocks, drinking the bar for after hours, Adults still gotta have fun. You still gotta make jokes. And even spicier take, there ain't nothing wrong with being childish. As long as you pay your bills, you're accountable for situations, and know how to read the room, ain't nothing wrong with being childish. Just make sure that, like, you're situationally aware and know when's the right time and place or even situation to, like, be not so serious. Anyway, this ended up being almost 15 minutes long. I opened myself up way more than I'd be comfortable with. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my experience as a food service worker day one. As of the date of recording this, I am going back in maybe like in a little under 5 hours. I'm dreading it a little, but I know that it won't be all that bad. I mean, I just gotta get used to it. My friends are cheering me on. My fam's cheering me on. The communities I'm in are cheering me on. Yeah, so that's really it. Coder signing off. Peace. Y'all be cool.